the general public have higher knowledge about what food they want to consume. So for me, it's a way to go. Everyone need to, not just for pastry chefs, not just for me as a confectioner, for chefs, for whoever is working with the F&B business, we need to be more conscious about what food are we actually producing and produce to sell to the customers, because that actually have a very big impact on how we live.
Hello, Jared.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Petra. Hi, nice to meet you.
It's so lovely to meet you here on Zoom.
You too. It would have been nice to meet in person, but I'm halfway across the globe, so yeah.
But where are you exactly now?
I'm in Penang in Malaysia, where my parents live.
Okay, and but normally, where do you work?
And normally, I'm based in Oslo, Norway.
Oh, in Norway. Okay.
Yeah.
But now I've watched you on Instagram, and you've make amazing sweets.
Thank you. I try my best.
Yeah, I mean, it looks so perfect. You cannot imagine that it's made by a human being, So yeah.
Thank you.
But tell me about your career. What was the interest for you initially when you were a child?
Well, I mean, I try my best to be book smart, like all the Asian parents. They want their kids to be engineers, doctors, lawyers, those kind of high earning, big names, big name professional. But I mean, I try my best, but I'm never succeed in that academic direction. So sort of I drift off to I like cooking. I like watching. I mean, I grew up with a lot of big family gathering. My aunts, my mom, they all always cook up a feast. I always fascinated by, wow, that's a lot of nice food. So, I mean, I think that sparks of the interest of in going to cooking. And in fact, my family, like my mom, they run a traditional Malaysian desserts business.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So tell me, what is traditional Malaysian dessert, for example?
For example, we have, my mom is famous of making this coconut custard jam. It's like we call kaya in Malay. It means rich, but it also translates to this coconut caramel custard made from fresh coconut milk and just caramelized sugar. So it was like really rich coconut cream. So that's sort of like my mom, one of her most famous things, and it usually eat with glutinous rice. So the family. Mm-hmm. So the family business is sort of around this kind of rice-based and coconut-based, you would say cake, but it's sort of not the same terms that we use as in Western desserts cake.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. So you're a sweet family.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I grew up in that kind of environment.
Yeah. But now, so and then could you go and study? Did you go and study pastry making or chocolatier? What do you call it?
When I started college, I actually enrolled in culinary arts, so which means in savory cooking. So like the French Escoffier trainings and all those things. So I was never really interested in desserts to say. So sort of when I got my first job, then like really got thrown into this professional big scale kitchen, and then sort of like, oh, the kitchen is hot and warm, and I don't feel like I like to be in that part of the kitchen. Then I sort of transitioned into the pastry department where the kitchen is always slightly colder, air conditioner. So it's like that's literally start of it's about 14, 15 years ago. That's when I really started like learning on the job. Like so I have no basics of knowing how to make cakes or anything like in terms of Western desserts.
Okay.
Then so literally I start learning by working on my first job. And then ever since I'm always in the pastry kitchen.
But this I always find so fascinating when people say, I learned by doing, I learned on the job, I learned by the experience of making it. And because I think we sometimes are blinded by the fact that you have to have some sort of education. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm just saying that for some people it just works out that they spend the time really in practice, in doing something.
Yeah, I believe that like of course you should have some basic education,
Yeah.
like some really fundamental theory about what is what. That certainly helps getting a long way. But most of it, like I mean, school when you sit down on the school bench, looking at the textbooks, it only means one thing. But when you got into a real kitchen, doing with service, doing with uh, real customers, that always not what it seems to be on the textbook. So a
Yeah.
lot of things, it's really learning by doing it.
And like you said that you felt the kitchen warm, you didn't like that environment in working there, and it was only something that you realized when you started working in the kitchen.
It's sort of it's I mean my family business also in like sort of warm and humid, a lot of steamers. It is. I mean, in a way, I knew what and I'm getting into, but
Yeah.
it's sort of in a bigger scale. Then it's sort of it's much more intimidating,
Mm.
and you work in a little tight space with 5 or 6 other cooks together. It's just the humidity, the heat constantly. So it's sort of something I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
So I find a way to still work within the profession and then found my interest and really like sparked my interest and like really got into when I got into pastry.
Mm. So now the pastry is one part of what you do, but you make sweets. I mean, so literally chocolates and sweets as well. Does
Yeah.
that fall under the same category then when you talk to a pastry chef, for example? That's something that you all do.
Um. Not necessarily. Like if we talk about pastry department, it always people will ask, "Are you a hotel pastry chef or are you a restaurant pastry chef?" Because it means totally different thing.
Oh,
Like
really?
for me, I'm more like a restaurant pastry chef. Things have to be sort of plated a la minute, like very last minute, like things usually as fresh as a day or two. And it's more detail works in it's more like a lot of factor going to how to say we take into a lot of factor to consider what we should put on the plate. We have to take into consideration like maybe the hot kitchen, their main course, their entree, their starters, they are this profile. Are they very heavy or are they very light? So we need to make adjustment to the pastries, like the desserts
I
when
see.
so if the head chef decided today the red wine sauce will be a bit more heavy, so maybe I need to readjust my dessert to make it slightly lighter to accompany, have a better balanced dining experience. So that's what restaurant pastry chefs have to do. We have a different, our tasting palettes are slightly different. we are more complex to, not that hotel pastry chef not, but it tends to be, we train this on a daily service basis, and hotel pastry chef, they are more on production, intricate cakes, displays, buffet or banquet service, with which like you almost can be certain how much you're getting, how do you do. You can have a flow plan accordingly. But in the restaurant, it always have a lot of different things happen. Guests no show,
Sorry,
they show up, they will tell you, oh,
sorry.
I'm
Wait
actually
a second.
allergic to this thing.
Yeah, wait a second. You just broke up. There was just a pause where you broke up. But tell me, just carry on. What you say in a restaurant? Just the last sentence that you said.
In the restaurants, we will be facing different challenges, as in like maybe a customer come in and then they will tell you, oh, I'm actually allergic to this thing. Can you make adjustment to this and that? And so sort of every day will be different in a restaurant kitchen. But in a banquet and a hotel setting, that will be a slightly more fixed. You know, usually you have all the flow plan, the work plan way ahead. You know what's coming.
Oh, I see. Yeah, and it's in the restaurant line. Is it also? Do you spend a lot of time on, say, the decorations and things, or is that more that they do at the hotel?
I would say that will be on the hotel.
Yeah,
that will be more into like really decoration, displays, and really fine tune things. I mean, restaurant does, but for me, my philosophy is I don't want to put things on a plate that doesn't bring any taste enhancement. Because I could always put a piece of chocolate decoration or sugar decoration on a dessert, but if it doesn't bring an extra layer, flavor, or textures, or it just doesn't go with the dessert, I will not put it on, because for me is less is more. When I mean, maybe in the early 90s or even up until early 20s now, you can still see a lot of restaurant dessert putting a lot of chocolate decorations, a lot of even raspberries or strawberries or mint leaves, but it doesn't bring anything to the dessert.
Yeah.
So my philosophy is I don't want all these extra things to be present if it doesn't mean anything to the plate.
That's so interesting. I never thought of that, but because you always think of, okay, so this is the dessert and now you do the decorating, but you saying that decoration has to mean something for the dessert. Otherwise it's not.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And also what you're saying about the fact that you have to speak with the chef about what the main course would be, so that your dessert, so the whole eating experience has to flow. It has to be from
because that's how you make a customer comebacks. They have a very balanced, they have an unforgettable, flowing dining experience. That's what makes customer remember you, and especially the last course, they will always remember, I have a very good dessert. I have my meal there, very good. I will come back, because that's how human nature is. They will always remember the first course. They say, okay, this is interesting. They spark my interest. Then they carry on with their conversation with their dining partners, on the table with their friends. So sort of they will brush through second, third, or even fourth course. Then they take a little break. And then when they come back for desserts, that's always the one last meal before they walk out from the restaurants. So that is something they will always remember.
You're so right, because I can, that's something that happens to me, you know, that I can really remember good desserts that I had. I mean, I remember meals as well, but desserts seem to always be for me the highlight of the evening.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that's literally keeping our job there.
But now, Jared, so and then now there's that side of the sweet making, because those sweets that you make that I saw on Instagram, what exactly what is that all about?
So I mean, during the whole pandemic, I started out my own sweets business, like in the start of the pandemic lockdown. I mean, that initially, it's actually the pandemic makes me start the business as a real business, because before that we already planning to have I was planning to open a chocolate shops with a dessert dining experience. But sort of pandemic put a hold on the actual project. So I transitioned into making all these sweets and selling online and through some resellers like deli shops. So it's sort of I transitioned into that to, I mean, not that I really need the business to go on to support myself, because in Norway we are lucky to have a universal healthcare system for all this pandemic related layoff and things.
Oh yeah.
But I was like trying to self motivated to do things instead of just sit there and not doing anything.
Yeah.
And I will also, with that business, my philosophy is like I want to make things that is, I mean, chocolate is available everywhere, but how to make people eat chocolate and also not to care too much about sweetness or oversweet or calories and things like that. So my philosophy of making those sweets are as less sugar as possible, as natural as it could be. I haven't used any synthetic colors. All colors that you've seen on all my desserts and chocolates are of natural resource from like even dry flowers, dry vegetables. So it's those colors naturally occur in all the ingredients I'm using. And sugar, I mean, I have a motto for like all my desserts from very beginning. It's sugar for me is a tool, it's not the flavor.
Okay.
Because you need sugar to achieve a certain textures or preservation. Sugar itself is a preservation. If you use right amount of sugar, you can preserve your product for a very, very long period of time. If you understand the science and a little bit how sugar can bind with other ingredients. So I use just enough sugar to give the slight sweetness and have the preservation properties, because I don't use any other chemical to preserve my product. So everything is as less sugar, as natural as possible. And it sort of like explode from that. Like people understand my philosophy and also the direction of I'm trying to produce my sweets and chocolates, and people like it. So I was very, very happy with that.
Yeah, but isn't it's so refreshing that you have that approach, because I mean it's with these things that we tend to get back to the natural way of doing things, but it's not always so easy, because it's much easier to get all the chemicals in and get a lot of sugar and do something like that. But you've now done it the other way around, and I think it's wonderful that you start doing that, and also it's a way of educating us as well. You know, that we say, but we don't need that amount of sugar.
No, I mean, for me, it's I personally I don't really like to eat sweets. I mean, sometimes yes, I might want to have some ice cream, some uh, peanut butter fudge, but that's very rarely. I do taste the product I make just to be sure I made the right thing,
Yeah.
but I don't really like sugar. I don't really like sweets. So I try to make confectionery or chocolates that I would like to eat myself.
Yeah.
Because if I don't like to eat that, I wouldn't assume people would like to eat that.
Exactly. Yeah. But now,
Hmm.
how much experimenting do you have to do yourself to get to these products?
Um, I mean, I do read up a lot of articles, a lot of scientific paper, and how to. I mean, because sugar is it's a big chemical readings. So I made a deep dive into like the science behind making sweets, sugar, chocolates, and it sort of it takes a few months while doing nothing during the early on of the pandemic, and
Oh
then
yeah.
it's sort of like okay, I don't like this, I don't like this, but I like to eat this kind of product. What makes this product stand out? How can I make this thing in my own way, in my own flavor profile, following my own philosophy? So with that, I think I used spend almost 9 months to a year before I actually start selling my first chocolate.
Mm.
And I think it was Valentine's 2021. Yeah, just last year
Really
it's my
amazing.
first actual selling my own brand. And I really like it. And it was a hit when I started selling it through online. I sold it through some cafes, some resellers on delis, and it was a big hit. And then I found like you can say I found my calling that okay, this is the direction to go.
Yeah, and
And I mean I never looked back that even now I'm taking up a new at the moment, I'm putting my own brand, my projects on the hold because from September onwards, I took up a pastry chef position in a up and coming hotels. I'll be heading the department with a team of 8 others, 7 others pastry chefs and cooks, and I'll be I'll be designing the menus for the whole hotel for the dessert departments with 4 different outlets to sell desserts and cakes and chocolates.
oh wow.
And it will largely follow it will follow what the hotel's direction is, but I will heavily influence during the cakes, the desserts, the chocolates, confectionery, down to the ice creams or the little pillow candies on the rooms. It will follow my direction that is as less sugar, as natural as possible.
Yeah.
So in a way, I get to promote my brand, my philosophy in a larger scales that can actually bring some positive impact on how we look into eating sweets and chocolates.
That is incredible, and this is great that you have this platform then, or this bigger opportunity to do that, because I think also our palates get used to this taste of this overly sugary taste, and then
Yeah,
you need to understand. I think when you start understanding about, and like you say, you start educating also about this is not how it's supposed to be. It's not necessary, all the sugar.
yeah, absolutely. Like a very good example is it's like if I tell you this is a strawberry cake, it's supposed to taste strawberries, not sweet, not sugar. It should taste strawberries. If you taste sugar first, that means it's a very wrong directions already. So for me, it's like if I make you a Jaffa cake, chocolate orange, it need to be taste chocolate and orange, not other buttery, sugary things. It should taste what it's supposed to taste like. Because nowadays, sometimes you go out buy a bar of the chocolates or that says have strawberries or passion fruits or even nuts, but all you taste is just sugar. It's not the way we should go, especially given current dietary climates. All these modern dietary people are more conscious of what they're eating now. The general public have higher knowledge about what food they want to consume. So it's for me, it's a way to go. Everyone need to, not just for pastry chefs, not just for me as a confectioner, for chefs, for whoever is working with the F&B business, we need to be more conscious about what food are we actually producing and produce to sell to the customers, because that actually have a very big impact on how we live. We need to be eating more healthy, a little bit less animal product, a little bit more plant-based. Because I'm very much champion on plant-based desserts, because I noticed that in the recent months, even up to a year now, I have experienced a lot of plant-based dessert. I'm not calling them vegan desserts because it's a very strict terms to use vegan.
Yeah.
So I like to use plant-based diet or plant-based direction, because when I take away a lot of this dairy product, you taste more. Like,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
because water is a very good canvas. If you infuse water with strawberry, it will taste strawberry. But if infuse cream with strawberries, it tastes creamy strawberries. It doesn't taste actual strawberries. So in the direction that I noticed, okay, if I take away all this dairy product, just replace it with a more neutral liquid, for example, water or rice milk or plant-based milk product, it let me showcase the product that I actually want to showcase much better. The customer tastes more of the product I want them to taste, and it's more healthy. So,
and it's probably you're right. I was now thinking when you said it's really also that if you use cream, that you almost have to put then sugar with, because it takes away the sweetness of the fruit that you add to the cream.
yeah, because cream for me, we look at it as a fat. Fat always masking all the flavor. It carries flavor. It carries a lot of flavor, but it also masks a lot of flavor. So, which means you need to use a lot more sugar. You need to use a lot more. For example, if I use raspberry, maybe I use 1 kilo of raspberry in a water base produce. But if I use a cream base, maybe I need to use up 50 or 60% more raspberries,
Really?
just to make it as taste intense as possible. So it's a very fine. I discovered that is a very, very interesting topic to dive deep into that, and it makes me look at pastries and dessert completely different.
Really? And what about butter? If you look at, because most pastries are made with butter.
Butter for me, I like butter. I still can't live without butter, but but there's a lot of very good dairy butter alternatives now in the market, and with a little bit of like some citric fiber. It's a natural occur fibers. It's derived from citrus peel. So like the citrus skins, the orange, the lemon skin, they have a sort of fiber And in professional kitchen, we get to we can access those fibers in a powder form. It's available in professional kitchens. And by using that, I can combine, for example, olive oil and water, and I can make them into a butter.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's interesting.
So it's a little bit magic tricks in professional kitchen. It's not so easily accessed in like household item, but in a way that I could use all this knowledge that I learned in the recent years and make a better, tastier, slightly more healthier desserts for the customers that come to the restaurants.
Yeah. And it's also that awareness, that being aware of the, like you're saying now, that something like water is also an ingredient that has a use, that we dismiss it as, oh, it's just water. It doesn't, but it keeps with the taste or the flavor of the fruit that you then use.
Yeah, absolutely. It's water is a very good transport canvas for any flavor you want to achieve, and it doesn't mask any flavor. It doesn't take away anything from the ingredients you want to put in. It just makes it flow. It's like I remember there's a very famous quote by Bruce Lee.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be anything, be water.
Oh, really?
Because you can, when it's frozen, when it's frozen, it be ice. When it's warm, it becomes steam. When it's cold, it's just water. It has so many properties. It can transform in every single way. So water is one of the best ingredients for me.
Yeah, I will remember this now. That you're saying that. I actually, many years ago, somebody told me that if you make an omelette, you should put water in instead of milk. If you whip up the eggs, and I've always believed that. I've always done it that way. And sometimes I think maybe it was the wrong advice because the milk maybe does something, but my omelets seem to be very fluffy. And now that you're saying that water is actually an ingredient, then maybe this is why the omelet is so fluffy.
Yeah, I mean, it lightens the eggs. It doesn't put in extra fat that you don't need unless you want to put a little bit more butter. But then just put more butter, not milk and cream.
Yeah. Well, this is, yeah. You wanted to say?
No. I was just waiting for you to continue.
But no, this is very interesting, and I'm very happy that you said that you realize that it comes from your side also when you make the sweets, because the consumer we buy what we are given, basically, and I think if this is available, that what you're making and doing it in a natural way, and also talking about this, this gives us the option to say, well, I'd rather do that. I'd rather go in eating in that natural way, if I do eat sweets.
Yeah, I mean, it is an option because currently in the market is not so much. I mean, we do have a few options of like more natural, more plant-based, more health-conscious desserts or chocolates or sweets. But I haven't have anything that makes me go, wow, this is good. So in order to do that, I want to create it myself because I believe like it shouldn't be like all these special dietary. It shouldn't be just we made a options for you. It should be as good as the original one. Yeah. It should be as good as Like if your dining partners, your friends that come to the restaurants with you, they have a very decadent chocolate desserts. And all you get for a plant-based diet, you just get 3 scoops of little sorbets. You feel left out.
Yeah.
I feel that it's not fair for me just because I have a plant-based diet. Why can't I have a chocolate dessert? So
Yeah.
for me to do that, I mean, I'm not just simply put on a plant-based, vegan friendly dessert just because I want to, but it has to be as good or better than the chocolate desserts that your friends having. So that's my goal, my main directions for any desserts that if I'm produce, if I put out, it has to be as good as the normal version or not better.
Well, this is something that we sometimes see, that if you go a healthy, or you think you go the healthy route or the healthy option, it's normally not as good, or it's normally bland, or it doesn't have
Or
the
it just
it's
yeah, or it's
you know,
just covered in sugar and to make it tasty.
yeah, exactly. No, this is wonderful. And so, but can people still buy the sweets from you? Will you still have your Instagram your sweets available?
At the moment, it's not available, but when the hotel opens on the 1st of September, it will be like I'm not. It's not like I'm using my brand to market all the sweets and chocolates in there, but it will be like features throughout the hotel.
Okay.
But it will be made. Everything will be in-house under my supervision and under my directions. Like, okay, we should make chocolate like this, not the traditional way that heavy cream, heavy sugar. So I will have my how to say my the words just couldn't roll it
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
uh, I will I will have some influence on how
yeah,
things being made in the
yeah.
hotel. So people can because we have a little coffee bar that is coffee shops that will sell all sorts of cakes, sandwiches, pastries, even chocolates and sweets. At the very entrance of the hotel, it's called Cafe Lucy. So all these products can be buy through the counter.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
it's available from them.
Hmm.
So it will have heavy influence by my directions as well.
Okay. But now, tell me, Jared, what are still your wishes for the future?
Mm, for the future, I mean, I still have to compete for the world finals for the Varona chocolate competition in in December this year. So I'll be represent the whole Scandinavia for the world's final, and I hope I win.
Okay.
And so I can reach a even bigger platform to promote what I believe. So I hope I get to promote the direction and the philosophy that I believe what is future of pastries and desserts and confectionery. And for me, I believe the future is plant-based. We need to consume, not like we stop completely, but we should
Yeah.
consume less and less animal products or dairy products because honestly, we don't need that.
Mhm.
We we need to look at alternatives that actually enhance or make us a little bit healthier. So less sugar, less dairy, and eat more vegetables, eat more natural strawberries, fruits, vegetables, because vegetables like beets and carrots and bananas, all this, they have so much sugar in itself. if you're gonna make a banana bread, you shouldn't need so much other sugars, because a ripe banana contains so much sugar, has so much flavor. We shouldn't use other sugar to make a banana bread.
And it's a great way of also experimenting with the different fruits, because it's like you say, a banana bread is actually such a nice thing to bake, and you don't need the sugar, the additional sugar. But what I find now fascinating about you is that you want to represent all these countries in this competition. But you're doing it because you want a bigger platform to get this message across, and I find this very admirable of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that you're not egocentrically just want to do it because you want to win, but you want to have this platform. And I really hope that I'm very interested in what you are making, so I'll be still following you on Instagram.
Thank
I
you.
hope you still share all the things that you make, because
Yeah,
it's
I mean, I'll be sharing a lot more on Instagram when the hotel starts. So we'll be produce a lot more interesting cakes, desserts, confectionaries, chocolates, and I'll be heavily promoted on my Instagram, like, because we want this new hotel to be a place where people come to hang. We look at this hotel as it's gonna be a 5-star luxury hotel, but it's also a neighborhood hotel. We are located in the middle of a West End neighbor residential area. So we want people to come by. You can always come in to have a coffee on the coffee bar, have a lunch, stay for a little bit dinner, because it will be the brasserie is a very European continental menu. We're doing a lot of classic brasserie food, and price are very, very reasonable price for the neighborhood. We're not trying to achieve something that is way out of the line. We try to bring back some classic items, and then classic desserts, but in a more modern interpretations. Like for me, classic desserts are always very, very sweet, very heavy in dairy product, heavy egg product. But I try to reinterpret those in a more modern, more health conscious, slightly less sugar, less cream as is possible, like to try to represent all this direction that I believe in and present it in this really classic European brasserie menu. And as well as we have a Japanese Nordic restaurant on the rooftop. So it's going to be if we look at this restaurant as like a culture house that you can come and hang. You can come and hang, you can come and have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and even after dinner in the same building. And it's a place of people come to meet to each other.
What a wonderful concept.
It's the hotel is called Sommero House. It's the first of its kind Art Deco hotel in Norway.
Oh, okay.
So we restore a really 1930s building back to its original artwork, original stone brick buildings. We strip back all the deco from before and restore back to its original 1930s Art Deco. And it's one of the best places I ever seen.
I love the Art Deco era. It's one of my favorite design eras, and it's wonderful that you do that. And I love that you restore it, and bring out the beautiful, the natural, beautiful elements of that era.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we work very closely with the city antiques preservation department. So we have a lot of reference from the era to go back to. We have a lot of original artworks, original design details, down to like the locker room in the swimming pool. It's all restored to the wooden original woodwork and everything.
Really?
So it is one of its kinds. Like I have never seen they spend so much energy or even financial to try to restore anything back to this state.
Wonderful. I'll put the link of this hotel. Is there a website already?
Yeah, it is. It's called Sommero House. SOMMERROHOUSE.com.
Okay.
So you can find them on the same Instagram. The handle is the same,
Yeah.
Sommero House.
Okay.
So we will open the door 1st of September. So
Okay.
it's less than 60 days.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you to do a shout out for your favorite restaurant or coffee shop, but I'm going to do this as your shout out that we do this hotel, that's the upcoming hotel. It
will be brilliant.
Yeah. So okay, I will put all the links in the description, and I wish you all the best for this new job you're doing, and for what you are doing. And I absolutely love this idea, because I think it's so important that we change the way we eat sweets, and that we think of it as well. And I love that you do it also natural.
Thank you very much. And I hope you come to visit Oslo soon.
I will. I'm very intrigued now. I mean, there's now a lot of things that I find so wonderful about that. It's firstly your sweets and your pastry making and all of that, but also the building. It sounds amazing. So yes. I will come and have the experience there.
Perfect.
In Norway. Okay.
Yes.
But Jared, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Petra.
And have a lovely time with your parents.
Thank you very much. And you have a good summer holiday as well.
Thank you very much.